Jinkies! It's Toy Geek Maniac, and it's all about Scooby-Doo. As many of you probably know, Scooby-Doo has been around for at least 50 years, and it was a series of cartoons that I grew up on and loved, and has been a mainstay of pop culture my entire life. And so, in doing this video, I really wanted to spotlight my love of Scooby-Doo and Mystery Inc. and give light not only to the toys that I've had for quite some time, but to also incorporate some of the new iterations of toys that have come along since then. So let's get started. To start off this episode, I think it's important to say that I appreciate the whole team together. There have been certain series where it's just been Shaggy and Scooby, or I think there was a series where it was Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne. And I really appreciated any of the animated series that featured the entire Mystery Inc. crew. And so that's what kind of parlays into this video. And Daphne has always been my favorite character, go figure. And I mean, I even dressed up as the live-action movie version of her for Halloween one year, and you know, I might revisit that at some point and maybe do the classic version. I don't know, but at any rate, there wasn't really so much growing up that toy-wise that I really found. It wasn't until my adult years that that toys of Scooby-Doo kind of crept into my brain of popular culture. So, in doing some research for this video, I've kind of dove into the past of what I've had, and I'm going to incorporate some brand new stuff that's new to me. One of the older pieces that I have in my Scooby-Doo collection is this little small teeny tiny little figurine of Daphne that was given to me by my first love. It seems to be a little bit flawed. It came that way. I've had this for at least 22 years, I want to say, maybe longer. It's been a mainstay of my collection. Absolutely love it still. And yeah. So, in coming up with this video, I've decided, in rearranging my pop culture studio, I wanted to give some space to Scooby-Doo and Mystery Inc. So I decided I was going to create a shelf for them. And so as I was going through my collection of vast amount of toys that I have, which I have very limited space for, I started coming across a lot of this stuff. And the next thing that I'm going to display is this piggy bank, coin bank of the Mystery Machine, which I've had forever. I'm going to try to come up, see if I can find some pictures from my archives that details how long I've actually had this. Some of the decals are wearing off. This is probably at least close to 20 years old. It looks like there was a decal that was on the top here as well that could have possibly been removed. The slot is still functional and it rolls along. I haven't used it as a piggy bank for eons, but it's still a really cool piece to have. I tried looking it up online to see what the value or worth of it is, and my PC is being really stupid right now, and so is my phone. So I haven't been able to gather that much information about this as of yet. So about this time, I also had a sort of plushie doll of Daphne that came from the Warner Brothers store. Roughly, yeah, about 8 inches or so. I have a similar one here of Batgirl. Somehow or another, Daphne got lost in either a move or got destroyed or something. But yeah, that I'm going to try to find a screen cap to post of that because that was a beloved part of my collection. But coming up next is a series of action figures that a manufacturer, I believe by the name of Unity, came up with in conjunction with Cartoon Network. And they came up with the whole line of Scooby-Doo action figures that were really decent in size and kind of limited articulation. You do get some elbow joints, shoulder, a little bit of hip action. What I like about this Daphne is that they incorporated her skirt. There is knee action, no foot action. But she is not standable on her own, so I've definitely needed a stand. They made the entire line, and I was also able to snag Freddy as well. He's a bit yellowed over the time, and I've done some research to try to get him cleaned up a little bit using various techniques, some of which has worked. I think I'll have to do a little bit more, but the articulation is good. These came out roughly, I believe, in 2000, so they're like 22 years old. But, you know, it's a great vintage look for the characters, and yeah. And so the next one that I was able to acquire was Scooby himself. And I'm so delighted with this figure and the various levels of articulation that you get with him. I mean, you can pose him sitting if you wanted to. The tail articulates. Hello, Dusty. And some of the joints have loosened over the years. So I was really happy. However, I was never able to acquire a Shaggy or a Velma. So I've never actually had like the full line of Mystery Inc. And that's been kind of okay with me, I think, up until recently. So Scooby-Doo is one of those properties that just doesn't ever seem to go away, and I'm so thankful for that. And it got to be that there was a live-action movie, or 2 movies actually, that went direct to theaters, as well as some direct-to-video animated movies. And in the live-action films, Daphne was portrayed by Sarah Michelle Gellar, as we mostly know as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they created a line of Barbies based on the entire crew. I think even, how did they portray Scooby? I don't recall. I worked at Toys R Us at the time, and I was dead set on getting the full line. And I did acquire Daphne. Actually, I still have her. She's just in storage right now, and I think I'm gonna dig her out and get her put together so I can include her in this this shelf that I'm now gonna have for Scooby-Doo and Mr. Ink. But I'll include a screen cap, hopefully. So that is super exciting. Love that aspect. Not fond of the character portrayal. Sarah was fine, don't get me wrong. I just think there were aspects of Daphne that were overblown, and there were aspects that were underused. However, we're not doing movie reviews, we're doing toy reviews. So most recently, we've gotten an iteration of a series called What's New, Scooby-Doo, and that has kind of catapulted into a new line of toys brought by a company called Character, from what I recall from my research. And once again, it wasn't high on my radar, but I definitely wanted Daphne. So each figure initially came with an original character, and very vintage looking. There have been some lines that have updated the looks of the characters that I really haven't been too fond of. But these figures are pretty decent and do offer some nice articulation, and they were each featured with a various villain or ghost for the most part, and then there was like a multi-pack and things like that. And then you got to just rail you in to get Freddy, you had to buy the Mystery Machine playset, and I was just like, you know, I'm not sure if I'm all about that. And so I just got Daphne, and I was okay with that. So when it got down to the point of having a complete set of Mystery Inc., I was like, I've got to have something. So I did some looking on eBay, and finding vintage toys was like pretty much like I'm not spending a fortune to try to get the rest of the Unity line, which would have been great, but yeah, the price was just out of my realm. And so then obviously the Barbies were far out of reach as well financially, and so I decided I was going to go with the character toys, and eBay was listing those as pretty high as well, and I was just like, man, I just really can't spend that kind of money. So before I had tried Mercari, and I was doing a different search for a different kind of toy line, and I made a purchase on there, and it was a great purchase, and the transaction was successful, and then all of a sudden, bam, it was denied. I was refunded, and there was no explanation why. So I was kind of like giving a little bit of a middle finger to Mercari, and I was just like, there was no reason. The money was available. I don't know what the problem was, and there was no explanation. It's just, you know, the money was returned to my account. It just said my order was canceled. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do Mercari again. But I gave them another shot, and I decided to look for the other character brand of Scooby-Doo figures. And I did come across a couple of things that did help me complete this collection. And the first being that I was able to acquire Scooby and Shaggy. And here they are. Like I said, just like Daphne, very vintage, nothing tremendously wildly updated. I mean, obviously these are used, and that's okay because they are in good condition. And I like the design. It looks really good based on the original animation. Shaggy looks very disproportionate, and that is fantastic. I like that a lot. Scooby, on a smaller scale, has about the same articulation as the Unity version. However, his tail is not articulate. And I'm sure, well, maybe if you try, but regardless, he doesn't have any torso kind of articulation, but it's Scooby, so he's there. So I found that really cheap on Mercari, and I was really happy with that. So I kept searching and trying to get the rest of the crew. And so all I was missing was Velma and Freddy. And the best thing that I could find at a reasonable price, not that there were some unreasonable things out there, the best thing that I found was a pack of the Mystery Machine playset that I mentioned earlier that came with Freddy. And that also included a figure of Velma and a figure of Shaggy. So, well, I already had a Shaggy, so I was like, well, whatever. For the price, I wasn't too worried about it. So, we got that, and here, you know, we have Freddy. And I think a little bit more hunky than originally portrayed in other versions. So that's maybe a bit of a sort of update to the character from the new series, which is fine here nor there. Still looks very vintage and classic, and I'm not going to complain about that. And we also have Velma, and this is kind of where I draw the line a little bit as far as interpretation, because Velma's always been portrayed as a little bit of a heavier sort of character, whereas she definitely seems like she is slimmed down. And if you take a look, if I can pull focus, she has these ribbons in her hair, and the paint job is actually really awful on this figure. I don't know if it's because it's used or if it just happened to be the manufacturer at the time, to make her maybe appear more girly. I don't know, but I have not seen the series, so I can't judge. But if they were going to give her these ribbons in the hair, it would have been nice if they would have given them a different pink color than her hair. One of the things that I loved about Velma, even growing up, was that she was fuller figured. But regardless, I have Velma. So then next came the Mystery Machine, and at the price that I got this at, I'm definitely not going to complain, period. And we're going to get into that next. So we have a Mystery Machine here that is fully accessible to the action figures. I don't think you can fit all three of Fred, Daphne, and Velma in there. I haven't tried yet. If that's a possibility. Usually you can see Scooby and Shaggy riding in the back. That's not a possibility here. It does have a lot of different types of functionality here. It kind of opens up so you can, you know, kind of play around. It appears, I just got this today, so I haven't really done a whole lot with it. I did have to clean it up a little bit, and that was kind of disappointing. And I put that in my review on Mercari. I didn't leave a bad review. I just thought that there was some aspects to the cleanliness that could have been cleaned up a little bit before being sent out. So, but overall, this is just going to be a prop piece. So I'm not too worried about it. It's nice to have, and maybe I'll feature Fred in, you know, the driver's seat and have the other characters off on the side when I get my shelf put together. And yeah, and like I said, I cleaned it up. But yeah, I'm very satisfied with this. This is really, really cool. So as I stated, this was an aspect to kind of figure in some of my older toys with some newer ones. And I've been reconfiguring my studio space here and dedicating some shelves and square spaces, as I'm calling them, to various different themes, which I want to swap out here and there from time to time, so we're not always looking at the same thing. And so, in conjunction with this Scooby-Doo shelf, I created this backer art, and I'm going to give a shout out to my artistic page, Phoenix Redfire Art, and it's kind of very crude and rudimentary, because I usually have like some sort of LED flashing lights or black lights, and so this is going to be in the background. And considering the size of this new Mystery Machine and the fact that I have to put the Unity versions of Daphne and Fred on stands, it's pretty much taking up the whole shelf. So I don't have a lot of playroom with it. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to put my movie version of Daphne from, or the Barbie Daphne movie version in on that, or not. I've got a doll section here of various different dolls I've collected over the years. She may just go on there. But yeah, I'm excited to get this put together, and we're gonna take a look at this, and I'm so super excited. Zoinks! As an ending sequence to our toy videos here, we're going to add an MVT segment for the month, and as sports have their MVPs, Ransom Productions is going to have their MVTs. So this month we are featuring the Marvel Legends figure of Tom Holland as Spider-Man from No Way Home. And this is a great figure to have in the collection. There's going to be a little snippet down here of the review. If you want to watch the full thing, it is clearly here on the channel. You get to enjoy it, and thank you so much for watching.